Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike Romali here with the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion for November 13th, 2020, recorded around 1:20 p.m. Eastern Time. While taking a wide look across the tropical Atlantic this afternoon, we have really only one storm of very significant interest. That is now Tropical Depression 31. Yes, the 31st tropical cyclone has formed in the Atlantic Basin today and is now moving generally towards the west here and is expected to make that continued movement over the next several days. We also have the remnants here of Tropical Storm Eta, which has now moved towards the north and east and away from land, still bringing some impacts towards the north and east in terms of rainfall, but across portions of the Carolinas today, quickly drying out behind a cold front, which you can see right here. And this cold front will be sagging southward, bringing some very nice, cool, refreshing air to portions of the southeastern United States, especially Florida, over the next several days. So that will be some good news. And then we also have Tropical Storm Theta, which is now weakening on approach to the Canary Islands, but is expected to pass generally towards the north and not affect those islands very much. Now, looking here at a zoomed in shot here at Tropical Depression 31, this will be soon Tropical Storm Iota, and this will be the next named storm of the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. Already very far into the Greek alphabet, you can see here a presumable mid-level circulation that is around here. This will probably become the new low-level circulation. We won't get recon in there till tomorrow afternoon. Unfortunately, around 1 in the afternoon, we will have recon in there, but you can see the circulation actually appears to be more so on the northern side here. However, it is probably apparent that we have some sort of circulation now trying to form here on the southern end. And again, you can see all of the convection is focusing towards the southern circulation here. So it seems, and it would go to appear that this is going to become the new established circulation. Well-defined banding is already starting to occur. So this could be this could already very well be the low-level circulation and moving generally towards the west northwest over the next several days or so. And this will kind of continue on this general forecast path until it reaches the Central American coastline. But you can very clearly see we have well-established banding with it now. We're getting some serious outflow generally towards the north. Again, this is sitting right now to the south here of Venezuela and South America. So this is now going to kind of be just skirting across here over the next several days. We can see on the official Hurricane Center forecast that, again, this is expected to be coming up as a hurricane into Central America. Now, there are some caveats to this forecast. You can see, first of all, this is expected to become a tropical storm later today, which seems very likely at this point. The main problem is this forecast track. Not only does it take it into an area that was already ravaged by Hurricane Eta not too long ago, but you can see the extent here of where this could be. Now, a stronger storm is likely to move more northward. And again, in a very weak steering environment, this is kind of what's expected. Now, again, models like the HWRF HMON were taking it generally north of Nicaragua and Honduras and keeping it kind of along the coastline before kind of turning it up towards the Yucatan Peninsula. Other models, such as the UK Met, the Euro, they all take the storm on a much kind of farther southern track and then actually turn it into Nicaragua and Honduras and weaken the circulation over the very tall mountains there. So this is a similar situation to Eta in this case. We're going to have a ridge built out over here, a ridge over here, and a trough that's going to be digging in over here. Very weak steering flow across this part of the world right now. One thing to note is that this could become a major hurricane. The official intensity calls for 110 miles per hour here by Monday morning. Again, if this intensifies quicker or actually does manage to sneak northward, this would favor a stronger solution, category 3, 4, etc. But if this southern track does verify, we could be looking at a strong hurricane, still a strong hurricane, but maybe not as intense as a 3 than if it was to take a northern solution. Not to say that can't happen, but it is not a dramatically likely situation at this moment in time. So if we look here at the GFS forecast, and we'll look here at the 500 millibar layer, and this is where we're going to try to explain and really break down the steering components involved within what would be IOTA at this time. So you can see here is the forecast. This is for 1 p.m. this afternoon. It was about 25 minutes ago. We can see generally that what we have here is the storm, which is sitting right about in here at this time. And again, this is still a depression, but it's looking a lot better in the upper and mid levels of the atmosphere. Now you can see what's happening is we have a well-extended ridge that's building out over Texas and Mexico, and this big ridge of high pressure is beginning to slide towards the east. So as the circulation here of Eta kind of scoots on towards the north and east, this ridge is going to build back in as the cold front begins to sag south, and you can kind of see where the front is going to be at in a couple of days. We have this front that's going to be coming in. Now, we'll kind of move this out to 42 hours from now, or 48 hours from now. So this is 2 days from now, valid as of 7 a.m. Sunday. This ridge of high pressure is basically dominant, most dominant over Florida and the Bahamas right now. And you can very clearly see, though, there's an extent of this ridge all the way in through portions of Mexico at this time. So the flow around this is generally one out of the westerly direction. So you're going to get a storm to move generally towards the west here at a fairly decent clip. This would be moving a little bit quicker than Eta did, and thus there is some discrepancy in terms of how strong it will get. Now, if we move this out 66 hours from now, this is hour 66, you can see the ridge here, position one extent of this ridge here, and another extent, you just follow the wind barbs, and through here you can kind of see that's turning here. So there's a ridge generally positioned over here, and we also have a trough that's coming in right now. What this is going to do is kind of separate these two ridges right here. So you kind of get a halved separation, basically, where one extent of the ridge, basically like Eta, is over here near Texas and Mexico. The other side of this ridge is over the southwestern Atlantic. And what this is going to do is cause a very weak steering component as we have this cold front sagging in across here. And this cold front is going to create a lot of northwesterly flow back here in the back side of this. And as that kind of comes down, this cold front comes down, what's going to do is all this northwesterly flow is going to try to turn the storm towards the southwest here. So you can kind of see that the storm has no other option at this point. Now the ridge has broken off into two pieces, and again, you can kind of see the extent of that. So you've got flow here and you've got flow here. One trying to take the storm to the west, northwest, one trying to take the storm towards the southwest. So you've got flow here. There is a natural weakness in the ridge. Again, your weakness would be right in through here, kind of splitting these two ridges as they both try to retreat, and this cold front dips in along with the trough. But it's all highly dependent on how strong the storm is. Again, the models today have trended northward. They've trended northward, but models like the GFS, the Euro, still take it well inland over portions of Central America. Now, again, this would come very close to portions that were impacted by Hurricane Eta not too long ago. So for recovery efforts there, it's going to be a little bit of a harder task because, again, this is one of those situations that, could end up creating a very dangerous environment in through there for the recovery. Now, if we move out here to day 5, again, what we start to see here is this trough has dug all the way in here. So this part of the ridge of the southwestern Atlantic that was initially over here now has retreated and eroded back towards the east, and we have a secondary ridge trying to develop over towards the west. Again, so this is creating, generally on the back side of this, is creating southwesterly flow out of the, kind of out of the northwest going to the southwest, or from northeast to southwest. And what that's going to do is force the storm into Central America. You can see the storm actually dissipates here. However, on this particular model, we have to watch for another area of vorticity. There's a larger gyre set up, and much like Eta here, there's a gyre that exists in this region. And what actually forms on this side would be Kappa on this side of the gyre here, and that actually tries to rotate around and back into portions of the Caribbean, and actually generates a tropical cyclone out of it. Now, again, a lot hinges on how strong this is. Again, if we look here at models such as the H-Wharf in particular here for the 12Z run, this actually moves it here. This is the 500 millibar flow. This actually moves into Central America. If we look here at the 10-meter wind, we can see that this would be a strong hurricane that makes landfall in the Yucatan Peninsula rather than actually making landfall somewhere in the Nicaragua and Honduras region. Now, also for contrast here, this is the model here, the HMON. It also is in general agreement that this would skirt towards the north of Honduras or north of Nicaragua and Honduras, move very close, but kind of move just enough that it would still impact Central America here. But this impacts northern Central America and not Honduras and Nicaragua. So there's a little bit of uncertainty here. And for what it's worth here, the Euro today is showing a solution that is a little bit further north. If we actually look at where it is, it's stronger and further north. So the general takeaway is that a stronger storm goes further towards the north, while a weaker storm tends to head in towards Central America and then dive into the eastern Pacific basin. And we've seen some of those consistencies today. And if we look here at the 12Z model guidance here, again, generally the window here seems to be for a weaker storm further south and a stronger storm, now even shown here by the UK H-Wharf HMON. Generally, the H-Wharf HMON showing this progression towards the north here. So, again, there's kind of two model camps at this point. There's one that has a weaker storm going into Central America. Again, the official forecast is kind of siding with the multi-model consensus guidance. However, it should be noted that again, a stronger storm is going to go further northward, and that's where the model camps like the HMON and H-Wharf come into play, because these would show a stronger solution and a greater threat for the Yucatan Peninsula rather than Honduras and Nicaragua at this point. So a very stark difference in the models at only 96, 72 to 96 hours from now. So by 3, 4, 5 days, there's a wide range of spread coming from anywhere basically from over Honduras to basically nearing the Yucatan Peninsula. So there's a wide range here, and that's why the Hurricane Center cone is much sort of like this, where the official forecast kind of lies within here, but there's a lot of space towards the north for a storm to basically come forward into. So it's something that we're going to have to watch very carefully, because again, it's not a guarantee that this moves completely into Central America, and we've seen that several times over and over again now with the progression of what was Eta. Now, real quickly here, if we take a look at if we basically look here at the upper ocean heat content values updated as of yesterday, again, we really can kind of follow the OHC values that are still very, very, very high in the Caribbean. Again, it's certainly a lot less than what we've had it over the past couple of days and couple of weeks ago. But given the favorability in terms of the upper level wind, and again, just to kind of briefly look at this here, if we actually go back and look at the GFS forecast for the Western Atlantic, and we also look here at the 200 millibar wind, we can see that what happens is that the storm is under a fairly well ventilated upper level anticyclone at this time. There's virtually no wind shear. Again, a tropical upper tropospheric trough that's right here with kind of your axis located right about there is creating and helping to ventilate this outflow here on the northeast side. And then what you have generally is this large anticyclonic flow with absolutely no vertical shear around it. And this should definitely help to strengthen a storm in that time. And if we actually look here beyond this time, this storm actually is able to get a lot stronger, because what ends up happening is we get a very well ventilated upper level anticyclone, basically creating a zero shear environment around the storm. So this kind of leads me to somewhat believe the HWRF and HMON forecast to take it a little bit north. Again, a stronger storm in this case would feel that northward tug in the mid levels, and thus is going to get a little bit further towards the north. Now, is it going to be able to shoot kind of the distance and make it into maybe per se the Gulf of Mexico? Probably not, but that solution is never off the table. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like the most likely situation at this point. Again, upper ocean heat content values remain generally on the very favorable side. Again, upper ocean heat content values still in the upper third of the scale here. Again, this would support the potential for a very strong storm to enter this environment and only continue intensifying all the way up until landfall. This would be about the fifth or sixth rapidly intensifying Greek letter tropical cyclone that we have seen this year. So, very important. Again, a lot of things are going to occur over the next several days, but pay attention to local forecasts and government officials, and of course, the National Hurricane Center for official information. All right. Well, that being said, hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Of course, I am Michael O'Malley. As a real quick side note, I just released my video here covering Tropical Storm Eta in its land and our landfall mission. So if you guys want to see that video, you can go check out my page for that, and it'll also be on my Patreon. All right. That being said, hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Of course, I am Michael O'Malley. I'll talk to you guys again some more tomorrow.